Because I feel sad when I see so much unnecessary suffering in the world. Well, happiness and sadness are complementary. Yeah, there's not. I don't see why it would be like sadness is a natural emotion. Why would it be the aim to get rid of sadness? When you say, is it possible to still be happy? I understand that as like to live a full life, a fulfilled life, a content life. Okay, and then we could say in that you're going to feel happiness, you're going to feel sadness also. It's natural. Sadness is okay, but what about helplessness? That's what really hurts. Yeah. Well, helplessness is the problem. The feeling of helplessness is the problem. The feeling of helplessness is the reason why things are outwardly in the world, why they are the way they are. But the helplessness is an illusion. It's not true. There is nothing is helpless. I mean, we've talked about it again and again. If you remember, if you've been you're on the talk some on the live sometimes, but it would be helpful to see our attachment to these negative views. You understand what I mean? Yeah, because they are based on self-images. So living freely is living without any self-images. There's no need to make an image of ourselves, because that would only serve to show to others, this is what I would like to be seen. Hopefully people will accept it and see me as that if I'm lucky. But actually it's a lifelong struggle and effort to try and portray that image. So in terms of looking at the world, all the good people who see themselves as good, they will suffer because the world is so unfair and everything is so difficult and so sad and negative. And and people who see themselves maybe as bad, they will feel lots of guilt and feel um, like they have to suppress that by being more aggressive, maybe, or whatever. It's all a game of acquiring or cultivating images I have of myself. So really, what am I really attached to? Do I really want to do something about? Do I really want? Is there like a real curiosity to find out what is the cause of what we see as cruelty and what mistakenly gets called suffering? Because there is no suffering really. Let's say cruelty, okay? So do I really want to really go and find the root of what that is? That what's at the root of that? What's it based on? But am I willing enough to go deep enough? If it includes looking at some, maybe I have some image of myself as like the good person or the noble person or the one who helps others or the one who believes in peace, or you know am I willing to look at those things? Because that's inevitably going to be part of it. It's inevitably going to come up. If I am willing to look at that, then there's no problem. But if I'm happy to accept some sort of superficial view about, and then all I do is repeat to myself and to others how bad things are, how negative things are. Yeah, if you look at the collective, see the fear that creates the way the world is. See the pandemic, see whatever else is happening in the world. It's based on fear and claiming ego. So the only way is if the only way to stop the ego is to see that it's not ours in the first place. But that only happens on an individual basis. It doesn't happen. It's not like there's no heroism, there is no heroes, there is no sacrificing myself for the good of the world, or like now I'm then I'll be so special if I could only do something to alleviate all the suffering in the world. But if I'm not willing to stay with the way things really are, which is pretty ordinary, if I need something more special than that, then maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's part of the problem. If I'm happy to limit myself to my limitations, which are natural. Yeah, I'm not meant to do everything. I'm not meant to encroach in other people's space. I'm not meant to tell other people what to do. And no one is meant to encroach my space either or tell me what to do. But if I take care of my boundaries or my area, then that's all I can do. And if everybody did that, then there would be these conditions wouldn't stand a chance. And as for helplessness, nothing could be further from how things really are, because all there is you could call it help. Yeah, look at nature, look at plants growing, animals growing, everything that's natural. Look at it, look how it gets taken care of, look at the abundance that there is. And if you say this is harsh, that's difficult, then maybe that's because of human influence, the human claiming of this position of leadership. Yeah, or of the kings. And then you go back to the root of the problem. How do we deal with pampered behaviors in kids or spoiled behaviors, and where does it come from? Yeah, it's a little difficult with the just being limited to the messages. Yeah. So I'm assuming, yeah, pampered or spoiled behavior can be no problem at all. Like if I have a little child, I'm going to spoil the hell out of it. Yeah. You understand what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course. Of course. Just out of love. I don't know. I remember my grandmother, yeah. Used to go and see my grandmother in the summertime or at Christmas. And then we would go into town and I'd look at something. Um, I don't know, go to the newspaper shop and I'd look at a magazine and I want some comics or something. My grandmother would go, "Do you want it? I'll buy it for you." You know what I mean? So in that sense, I mean, just out of love. What if they start annoying you a lot? Okay, annoyance is a natural thing. Getting annoyed about stuff. Yeah. Okay, you understand. I'm assuming that's not what you mean. Yeah, you mean something stronger than that. Yeah, you mean much stronger. Okay. What can we do if they start hurting themselves physically? Phew. Okay, so hurting oneself physically to get someone else to change their behavior, to get some kind of attention, is an ego ploy. Yeah. It's an attempt of the ego to say, look, if I don't get what I want, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then you'll be responsible somehow. It's an ego game. It has to be met with an iron will, really, like firmness, strong firmness. I'll give you an image, Jennifer. Jennifer, is that right? Um, I'll give you an image. So this is a friend of mine told this. Okay, Jennifer. All right. A friend of mine told me this image. So I don't know. She had a dream. I think maybe it was she just had a mind flash. So her son, was it her son or her husband? I can't remember. One of them was acting in a not nice way, in this kind of type way, like super uh taking liberties. Yeah. I think it was her son. Maybe it was like just like expecting her to clean up after him and just like this. Not that he had to do chores or anything, but just it was inappropriate. It was too much. So the image that she saw, or the dream that she had, was she was sitting on a lifeguard thing. You know how like at swimming pools lifeguards sit on this high chair? So like public swimming pools, there will be a lifeguard, yeah, or on the beach, often you have a lifeguard who sits somewhere quite high so he can see the whole beach, he can see out to sea, yeah. So she was sitting on one of those, and her son was in the sea, sort of jumping around, playing, and it kind of felt a little bit dangerous to her because he was going deeper and deeper out, and he was kind of waving to her, seeing that she was looking at him and kind of keeping an eye, yeah. And then a shark came behind him. And then she realized, seeing the scene, that it was her vigilance that allowed him to behave like that, to put himself in dangerous situations, yeah, or in situations that weren't good for him. Because why? Because mom is looking out for him, yeah, with her inner eye. So then, as soon as she saw that in the scene, she just got down and walked away, walked off the beach. And then he came out of the water as soon as that happened. Yeah. So the solution, she can't jump in and fight a shark. But the solution, and the only solution, was to abandon the scene, to leave the scene. Yeah. That's obviously, it's a metaphor, obviously. But to not do this, we are not in charge of our children. Children are a gift for us, but we don't have a responsibility. I don't care how, I know might sound very controversial, especially in many cultures. Yeah, in some cultures it's much stronger than in others. But children are not our responsibility. Life takes care of us. I don't care how much you work for your money. It is still something that comes through, that comes from life. I don't know how else to say it. It's not something we earn. Yeah. Because then what about the person who works their ass off all day long, double shifts or triple shifts, and has so little money, and someone else who works the same amount gets so much money? It's a life thing. We can't lift our little finger without the energy that runs through our body. Yeah. So in a very real sense, this isn't some spiritual nonsense, nothing. In a real, very real sense, we are taken care of. Yeah. The food we get, the oxygen that's already there for us to breathe, the water we drink, everything is life taking care of us. It's the same thing that life does when it rains and the plant benefits from the rain. It's the same. So to take the position of that, uh, we're basically trying to take the position of the child's own protection. The child already is born with protection. Everything is geared towards fulfilling that life. That's the whole point. Otherwise, the child would never be born. It's a unique life that wants to be fulfilled. And it's not up to it's not like the parents are in charge of that fulfillment. All parents try to do, usually, most of the time, is try and prepare the children for the so-called real world, which is based on driving towards success and some kind of glory. Yeah. Some kind of being seen as good by others. Anyway, you understand what I mean. Hey, no problem. Nice chatting with you always. Okay, Daryl, I'm gonna call you Daryl because I don't know your name. Um, I understand what you're saying, and I agree. What I meant by helplessness was the situations in life, for example, the illness of family members. Yeah, it's each one lives their own life, you know. I mean, yeah, this might not be heard, but actually the biggest help you can give anyone is to be true to yourself. Yeah, we don't understand what the effect that has. Um, you know these influencers, this term influencer, diabolical term. Um, you want to really influence something, be true to yourself. That's all I can say about that. Um, so yeah, it's up to whoever has an illness. They have all the help they need. But you can't make someone go deep enough. You understand what I mean? To find the root cause of something, to to live a life fulfilled, there has to be a certain uh, there will inevitably come a time where it comes in front of our eyes that there's something askew, there's something clashing. Yeah, that there is so much claiming going on, that there's ego, that there are ego demands. We're going to be confronted one way or another with some kind of uh, unnatural influences that come from this collective ego, which is based on the view that humans are the center of creation. I don't care who you are, unless you live isolated in a forest somewhere. There are of course there are societies in the past. Also, there have been societies who have lived freely, but for what we're talking about now in so-called modern society, if you really want to live a fulfilled life, you're gonna come across something where you're gonna, if you accept what is unacceptable, you're looking for trouble. Yeah, if you, especially if you like willingly, consciously accept it, if you go against your deepest sense of, yeah, your deepest feelings. And the consequence of doing that, of going against them repeatedly, one of the consequences can be illness. Relating with others is like the most, it doesn't matter if it's children or adults. Of course there are slight differences, but it's the same principle. Like with children, really our job is to shield them from this collective ego rather than prepare them for it. You know what I mean? Or to make them good examples of it. Um, and this thing of relating between people, it's just something that's always interested me, and uh, yeah, and I think whatever you're interested in, truly, you will learn about, right? I don't mean like reading a lot about it or researching or something. I just mean that you get some kind of you see whatever you see and understand intuitively whatever you really have a feeling for. So I don't know. I just always felt that yeah the main way that you come across this collective pressure is through relating with others, right? So that's where you see those dynamics. I wonder where we as parents miss the line, maybe you mean time, to see the inner self of our children and not let it grow. It's sad. Yeah, it is sad. Um, it really depends on the situation. Like it can be completely innocent. If you don't know any better and you raise your children with love, then that's completely innocent, right? And it's your children, each one individually is completely unique. And uh, you could say, in a way, they chose to live with you, to grow up with you. So, and the circumstances that they find themselves in, that they're going to encounter throughout their whole life, are those, in a way, you could say, that are necessary to make them free. How do we miss it? I don't know. It depends on the situation. Either we're not even aware of this stuff, in which case, like I'm saying, there's an innocence with it to pass on, to continue this kind of conditioning. I don't know. There must be people also who get a real sense that this isn't really, these circumstances aren't really right, but I'm going to do it anyway. If there's a real clarity, if we get real insights about things and we go against them deliberately, then that's not innocent, of course. Then we create fates for ourselves, negative, like consequences for ourselves, negative effects. And yeah, but the main thing really is that there's no point of like, oh, should have done this in the past, should have done that in the past. There's always an opportunity, just like there's an opportunity in everybody's life, many opportunities in anybody's life to really be free. So there's also the opportunity to for things to get corrected, to get reharmonized. So there's no, actually, the looking back and feeling guilty or feeling like this, that way about something in the past, that will create more negative consequences. It'll make the situation more rigid. If I think because of me, this is happening, yes, of course. See that this okay, how to deal with it. Here goes. See that this whole collective conditioning is based on ideas, yeah? Nothing more than ideas. What are ideas? Ideas are thoughts. What are thoughts? Thoughts are words. They're made up of words. What are words? They're actually just like shapes and lines, right? Letters. What are letters? Letters are shapes. So see how thin that is. See that it's not based on anything. Okay. So, and then also, how much do they belong to you? Like, do you own shapes? Really, I'm trying to strip it down completely. Yeah. It's good to sometimes, it's nice to see things really stripped down. Like if you take apart an engine or something, you take out all the bolts and just strip it all down. So actually, like, do you own these thoughts? So whatever conditioning you brought into like have that, however you have co-lived with your children, your family until now, did that originate from you, or did that come from this wider society and tradition and so on? So see that they're also not the culprit. There is no culprit. They're not the bad ones either. It's just based on ideas. So then see, like, you can even like really go inside and see, like, how do you feel about this tradition? Like, is it yours? Do you claim it? Like, would you say it comes from your heart? Or do you see that it's not yours? So then, okay, so then we all, you also got brought up under certain circumstances, right? So how can you be blamed for that? Would you blame your child? Imagine if if your child has children, would you then blame them for something? Would you not, as a parent, understand, especially with close family or any loved ones, if you see, yeah, that kind of gives the perspective of trying to understand as much as possible. Then you just bring up some kind of understanding. You don't blame them. So why should you blame yourself? Even if I see that, but still people talk, oh, it's because of the mother. Okay, but can you say that until now you've really had, you say, even if you see that, how do you know? Like, have you really not blamed yourself and still they blamed you? Probably not. See that it's unacceptable that they blame you, but first you have to see that it's unacceptable that you blame yourself. Otherwise, of course, if you fix yourself in a certain way, how can you expect others not to fix you? Makes sense, no? There you go. There you have it. You have the seed, you have the root of it. That's it. The problem is only lack of firmness. Who's that? I agree. Sometimes don't understand how to stay firm. I don't know why I can't. It's don't fix yourself. Who said you can't? If your intention is to be firm, you have all you get all the clarity you need. And if you say I don't know why I can't, that's already a decision that you've made a decision that you can't. What do you base that on? How do you know? You got to try it first. To say that, I think I need a lot of courage. Yeah, you just need a little bit of courage, though. But you gotta, there is a point where you kind of, in certain circumstances, where you just say no matter what the consequences, no matter what. Nice, good for your son taking no shit at 16 years old. Very healthy. Living a non-dual experience without ever being introduced to this, I was mind blown. Hmm. Okay. I For me it was the same. I was a kid and never heard anything about it. But it's nice to have this, that to actually be able to verbalize and talk about this stuff. It's a real gift. It's a joyful thing. It's like having if we have, like, we all know how nice it is to have a nice, meaningful conversation with someone. Um, so yeah, it's kind of that, I would say. It's like life won't really, the energy, the full energy to live a full life, it can't flow if we're not firm ourselves. Because if we're not firm ourselves, we actually automatically shut out a certain flow of energy, because we're then going along with a stream that doesn't get supported by life, by nature, by default, because it's based on an illusion. It's based on the hubris of humans, that they are above other aspects of nature, and that it's not true. So energy can't flow there. Why would energy bother with just some arrogant figment of the imagination? I'm from New York City, and that's how you have to live. It's a very cutthroat place. Okay, Jennifer, take it easy. Yeah, I always hear that about New York. Um, but yeah, there's a difference between cutthroat and firmness, I would say. But anyway, yeah, I get your drift, I think. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I got you. Can I speak on memory, please? In what sense? That seems like the only obstacles I have in this subject. I can't get past the memory just being that, a memory. Huh. Wow. Interesting. I think I get it. Why can't you get past that though? I mean, like, what about just leaving that whole subject? It is what it is. Like, why define it if it feels like, it's memory is just a word. Like, what does it feel like? Whatever you're referring to, what does it feel like without a word, if you take away the word? There you go. So that's done with. Yeah, so that beats someone saying, well, that doesn't really exist, this doesn't really. If you take, again, if you take the word away again, reality, what do you feel? There's some energy, right? There's some rawness, there's some, like, living fully, completely. That's it. It's life energy, life's own energy. Even though I know everything is happening now, it's still getting so caught up in the story of past and future memories. Huh. Okay, but then there's always going to be some association with, uh, like, whatever happened in the past, which is either negative, or it's better than what is now, or what might happen in the future, this and that. But that's just a mental exercise, really. You know. Um, yeah, I can't say much more about it than that, because it's really, it depends on the circumstances. Oh, okay. Good. I'm happy that came out. Do a Zoom one-on-one? Yes, I do. If you want, you can send me an email. If you go to the About section on the YouTube channel, you'll find my email there. There's like a little tab says view email address, something like that. But you have to do it on a desktop, not a phone, because on the phone you can't see the email.